Dubious Intent, and I'm back again today with a beginner's guide to how to make a pet-based witch doctor. I'm assuming this guide is for people that have just gotten to level 70, or someone with maybe a witch doctor that's kind of at a plateau. Maybe you want to switch builds, or maybe you just don't have the best gear yet, and you're wondering, can I do a pet-based build even if I don't have a bunch of the best in slot gear? Like, let's say I don't have Star Metal Kukri or all of the Zuni Mosses set. You know, what's most important for a pet-based witch doctor, and can I do it on the cheap? Can I do it easily? The answer is yes, you absolutely can. This build is very forgiving. This build is very simple. The only thing you need is a Mask of Jerome for the bonus pet damage. I got mine from a goblin on normal difficulty, so it's not even a torment only drop. I've gotten 2 more since then, gambling helms from Kadala. So you can, as long as you keep buying helms from Kadala, you should have yours easily within a week. It's not a very infrequent drop. Once you have a Mask of Jerome, everything else is basically icing on the cake. This character is less than a week old. So, I mean, I still have 3 pieces of yellow gear on, my chest piece, one of my rings, and my amulet. My shoulders and my Ring of Royal Grandeur are from cash drops from Act 1 farming. That was on normal difficulty. My bracers and my gloves were grandfathered over to this character from a wizard. And those were bought from Kadala. And I think my pants and my shoes and my offhand and my belt were all crafted. So again, like, that was just whatever, like that didn't take any time at all. That wasn't particularly hard to get, and my dagger is good, but it was dropped in Torment 1. It wasn't, it's not best in slot. It's just a nice one-hander. Any other nice one-hander will do in this slot. So really the only thing you need, absolutely the only thing you need is Mask of Jerome. You have Mask of Jerome, you're good to go, okay? So you're thinking, all right, well, if my gear doesn't matter, what skills matter? Here you go. This is the pet-based witch doctor build that we run. Our passive skills, because we have really low, we're assuming we have really low gear, really low toughness as a result, which I do. I only have 300,000 health. We take physical attunement and jungle fortitude for survivability, and we use fetish sycophants as sort of like our wall of little tiny crazy rabid knife-wielding maniacs between us and the monsters. If the monsters physically can't get through your wall of knife-wielding maniacs, they can't do damage to you. So that's what we take that. Plus, these little buggers will do a ton of damage almost regardless of what gear you have. So as long as your gear's, somewhat decent, like yellow gear for level 70, these guys will kill things. That simple. And then we take Pierce the Veil. I think, again, I don't know if I brought this up, but 20% more damage is 20% more damage. Can't say no to that. The only, plus the mana cost increase that we would suffer from this is negated by the fact that all of our other abilities don't cost mana. So, like, for example, Fire Bats with Vampire Bats cost mana to cast, but it doesn't cost mana to channel. And the reason we use Fire Bats is because all of the other abilities on this list do less damage, and they're not as efficient at spawning the little dudes as quickly. For example, like if you're going to cast Acid Cloud or Corpse Spiders or Firebomb, for example, you only have a chance to create a small fetish every time you first cast the spell, and you have to then recast the spell to have another chance to create one. Whereas with Fire Bats, as long as you're holding down Fire Bats and you're channeling, you can see I already created one there. Every time it would tick for damage, you have a chance to create one. So now I've created 2, and I just keep going and going, and I've created 3. I can create an endless little supply of those guys as long as I'm channeling Fire Bats. And you saw I created 3 of them right there. Very effective. Very good at basically just making this unending horde of tiny little maniacs for you. We are a pet build, so we're also going to take the other big pet abilities, Fetish Army with Legion of Daggers. That is hands down the best rune for your Fetish Army. If you die, all of your Fetish sycophants will die. So you want to have Fetish Army so that you can, when you come back to life, you can throw them out really quickly and have like eight of these guys just ready to go. Or if you come into a really low packed rift and the mob density is terrible and you're just not creating a lot of these guys, you can use this to keep your health up strong if you run into an elite pack, or your damage up strong. Big Bad Voodoo, that boosts your pet damage. Why not take it? You're a pet-based build. And we use summon zombie dogs with leeching beasts. This and Spirit Walk are our two defensive active abilities. Spirit Walk will keep you from being frozen and jailered, plus you take 50% less damage. Zombie dogs, every dog here will heal you for your life on hit, so we dump all of our Paragon points and utility into life on hit. So I've got 4,000. So that means even if I'm not attacking, I'm just standing around, I'll heal for about 12,000 life a second, because each of the dogs attacks about once a second, and that's 4,000 times 3 per second, so 12,000 life per second is pretty good. I'll take that. Yeah, so that's the build. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. Again, low gear requirement, not even 1,000,000 damage, 5 million toughness, but 90% of that toughness is from our resistances, and you should have over 10 million if you're doing higher torments. Our health is absolutely terrible, and yet here I go. I'm going to show this build off in Torment 4 and see what you guys think about it, and see if you guys like it, and hope you guys can maybe take it for a spin in Torment 2 or 3 and see what you can do with it. If you're fresh to level 70 and you're looking for a good place to farm gear or a good place to test out your build, go to Act 5 and go to Passage of Corvus or Ruins of Corvus. And there's 2 specific reasons for this. The first one we'll address right away, and that is that most of the monsters here are really big and fat, or they're really low on health. This is of course the one exception, the ghosts. The ghosts are a pain in the ass, they can fly through walls, but other than they don't actually have a lot of health, so they're not too big a deal. The scarabs that crawl over the walls are really low on health, and so we don't actually worry about them too much, because like these little guys here, you just melt them. Like right now I'm on Torment 4 and we're done. Just melted them. So most of the monsters you're going to run into are much bigger guys, and like these dudes here, these gargantuans that you can see there, these flesh gorgers, and they honestly, like what you can see right now, they can't get past your pets to get to you. So we don't really need to worry about them. So essentially the only things that are really going to kill you in this zone are ghosts and things with teleport, like elite packs with teleport. But the nice part about coming here to Passage of Corvus and Ruins of Corvus is that you only get about 1 to 2 elite packs and maybe at a unique per map level. So it's not great for farming elites or uniques, but for a low geared character that's just looking for random drops, this isn't a bad place to come, especially because you have events like this one, where you can open the Resplendent Chest, the Lost Treasure of the Nephilim, or you can break, there's a lot of destructibles like these vessels, unsettled stones, there's the weapon caches like you saw here where I got the white item to drop, stuff that you can use to make crafted gear. So this is actually a really good place to come for getting drops just from like the environment. And for the dirty little trick of the day, if you are worried about using fire bats, like let's say like I like using fire bats, but I don't want to be this close. Like that's not very far range on a spell. Like I'm not even hitting the vessels over there, right? Take fire bats and replace it with firebomb and pyrogeist. All right. You'll notice that firebomb is also one of the things that can create our little guys. It has a pretty high rate of attack, so you can see there. So like I throw one there, I just threw one. Now every single time it's throwing out a fireball, that's basically considered an attack and you get health back from it. This is how fast I can continuously throw fireballs. So that's pretty good rate, like I'd say about once a second. So, and every single time I throw a fireball, I have a chance to create a little dude. Though my fire bats hit for about 2 to 4 million damage a tick, my fire bombs only hit for about 400,000. So you're dealing a lot less damage, but the reason we come here to Ruins of Corvus or Passage of Corvus and we take that is if you're nervous about taking too much damage or you're on a torment level you shouldn't probably be on, put on Firebomb and you can lob them over the wall. Yeah. Now you're lobbing them over the wall and you're damaging monsters and they can't get to you. Yeah. So, kind of a cheap trick, but it's a fun way to kill stuff that's well above your Torment level. And it's actually like if you shouldn't even be doing Torment 1, but you really want that Torment only gear, do this trick. Alright, it works. It's fun, it's cool, but it's not something I would recommend as like the most efficient way to kill stuff. It's just, it's something to point out. It's part of the reason why we come here. Like, there are some elite packs where you see them and you're like Arcane Enchanted, Frozen, Waller, and you're just like, no. I'm gonna be lazy and just toss firebombs over the wall. I'm not even gonna fight those guys. So watch me just start channeling the spell down. Again, we're on Torment 4. These mobs have about, the big guys have about, these guys have 40 million health, and we just melted them down. Let me unlock these switches here and see what we can get from the door, the ward doors. But each of these little, the little dagger wielding guys is hitting for about 6 to 8 million damage per crit, and your fire bats are hitting for about 2 to 4 million. So like, watch them deal damage here. These big guys have 100 million health. They can't even really barely get to me before they get either chickened or cut off. And as long as I'm channeling my fire bats, I just keep making more and more and more and more of those little guys. So as you can see here, I've got this like wall of little dudes. Look how many I have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's, if you think that each one's dealing 7 million damage, that's 70 million damage that's running around and tanking for me at my feet. And I could just stand over here and just be like, you know what? For the next minute, I'm not going to do anything. But if you do get scared or some big enemy appears, drop your big dude, and he'll hit for about 40 million damage. And, you know, 2 or 3 shot elites. Pretty fun. Sometimes he's dumb. Sometimes he'll just like not, like there, he hit 42 million. 42 million. Sometimes he's stupid and just won't. He'll just stand at your feet. His AI is really bad. Sometimes he'll get caught in the doorways. He can't get past your little dudes or your dogs, and you waste the cast. But as you can see, he's already halfway off cooldown, so it's not that big a loss. And most of your damage is coming from the little guys anyway. If you throw down Slam Dance, he can hit for 60 million. And if you throw down Slam Dance and cast the Legion of Daggers Fetish Army, your passive guys don't benefit from increased Fetish Army damage on your gear, but your spell version does. So if you drop those guys and drop Slam Dance, see if I can do that here. They will crit for 16 million, 12 million, 16 million, yeah. So, yeah, 10 million right there. So basically what you do is, if you go into like a unique fight or a boss fight, you drop, oh look, we just got a rare mojo. We just got a legendary mojo. You cast Fetish Army and Slam Dance with Big Bad Voodoo and melt. Just melt enemies. So this is actually a really cool place to farm, a really good place to come if you're a newbie witch doctor, and I would recommend that you try it out. I recommend you try this build out the minute you get a Mask of Jerom. We can get away with having 300,000 health and garbage toughness even on Torment 4. Getting legendaries like you saw here. I think I just got a copy in Serpent. That's exactly what I got. Even though our damage is terrible, but just because we're off in the middle of behind a giant wall of enemies that nothing can get to us from, and each one's hitting for, you know, 7 million damage. That's fantastic. So I hope you guys have fun with this build. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next guide.